It was a crowded train station. People rushing everywhere. Noise, announcements, footsteps echoing across the platform. And then, a soft voice behind me. "Can I sit with you?" I turned. She stood there holding crutches. One leg. Slightly out of breath. But somehow, she was smiling. Not the kind of smile people fake for photos. The kind that hides pain. I hesitated for a second. Then I said, "Of course." I didn't know it then, but that one word was about to change everything. She sat down slowly, placing her crutches beside her. For a few moments, we just sat in silence. Then she looked at me and said, "Most people say no." I frowned. "Why?" She gave a small, almost playful laugh. "Because sitting next to someone like me makes them uncomfortable." I didn't know how to respond. So I told the truth. "I'm glad you asked me." She looked at me, like she was trying to figure out if I was serious. Then she smiled again, softer this time. We started talking. Her name was Aisha. She lost her leg in an accident 2 years ago. A drunk driver hit her while she was crossing the road. She told it calmly. Too calmly. Like it happened to someone else. But her eyes, they told a different story. Pain doesn't disappear. It just learns how to stay quiet. "Do you travel alone?" I asked. She nodded. "I learned something after the accident." "What?" She looked straight ahead and said, "No one stays forever." That line hit me harder than I expected. The train was delayed. Minutes turned into an hour. Then more. But strangely, I didn't feel impatient. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I was exactly where I needed to be. At one point, she went quiet. Just staring at the ground. "What's wrong?" I asked. She took a deep breath. "Today is the anniversary." "Of what?" She swallowed. "The accident." Everything went silent. Even the noise of the station felt distant. "I had dreams," she said slowly. "I wanted to run, travel, dance, live freely." She glanced down at her leg. "Now I just try to get through the day." I didn't interrupt her. Didn't try to fix it. Sometimes people don't need solutions. They just need someone who won't walk away. After a while, she looked at me and asked something unexpected. "Why did you say yes?" I paused. Then answered honestly. "Because you looked like someone who needed it." Her lips curved into a small smile, but her eyes filled with tears. "No one notices that," she whispered. The train finally arrived. The crowd rushed forward like a wave. I stood up and said, "Let me help you." She shook her head immediately. "I can manage." But as she tried to move, I saw it. The struggle. Not big. Not dramatic. Just enough to matter. So I gently held her arm. "Let me," I said quietly. This time, she didn't say no. We got on the train together and found seats next to each other again. After a few minutes, she spoke softly. "You didn't treat me like I was broken." I looked at her and said, "Because you're not." That's when she broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just silent tears rolling down her cheeks. "I forgot what it feels like to be normal," she whispered. I didn't have the perfect words. So I didn't say anything. I just stayed. When my stop was getting closer, something didn't feel right. Like leaving now would be a mistake. So I turned to her and asked, "Can I see you again?" She looked surprised. "Why?" I smiled slightly. "Because I don't think this meeting was random." She stared at me for a few seconds. Like she was searching for a reason to say no. But she didn't find one. "Okay," she said quietly. Months passed. Life moved on. But not in the same way. The next time I saw her, I almost didn't recognize her. She was standing. No crutches. A prosthetic leg. Stronger. More confident. And her smile, it was different now. Not hiding pain. Showing strength. She walked toward me and said, "You know what changed everything?" I asked, "What?" She smiled. "The day someone said yes, instead of looking away." In that moment, I understood something simple, but powerful. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be perfect. Sometimes, changing someone's life starts with something as small as kindness. So if someone ever looks at you and asks, "Can I sit with you?" think carefully before you answer. Because that small moment might be the beginning of a story you'll never forget. That I thought that was the end of the story. I was wrong. A few weeks after I saw her walking again, we started meeting more often. Not planned. Not forced. It just happened. Coffee shops. Quiet parks. Long walks where she would slowly match my pace, refusing to let me slow down for her. "You don't have to walk carefully," she once said, noticing me adjusting my steps. "I know," I replied. But the truth was, I wanted to. One evening, we sat on a bench watching the sunset. She was quieter than usual. "You ever think about how one moment can destroy everything?" she asked. I looked at her. "Or change everything?" She smiled slightly. "Yeah, that too." There was something she wasn't saying. I could feel it. But I didn't push. Until she finally spoke. "There's something I never told you," she said. I turned fully toward her. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I wasn't alone the day of the accident." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" "There was someone with me," she continued. "We were crossing the road together." Her voice started to shake. "He pushed me." I frowned. "Pushed you?" She nodded, tears forming. "He saw the car coming, and he pushed me out of the way." I felt a chill run through me. "What happened to him?" She looked down. And whispered. "He didn't make it." Everything inside me went silent. "He died, saving me," she said, her voice breaking. "And I've been living every day wondering why I got to stay, and he didn't." I didn't interrupt. Didn't try to give meaning to something so heavy. Because some pain doesn't need answers. It just needs space. "I was supposed to marry him," she added quietly. That hit even harder. For the first time, I realized. Her pain wasn't just about losing a leg. She had lost a future. A love. A life she had already imagined. "I feel guilty for smiling sometimes," she said. "Like I don't deserve to be happy." I looked at her and said gently. "Do you think he would want that?" She didn't answer. But her silence said everything. Days passed after that conversation. She became distant. Not cold, just quieter. Like she was fighting something inside herself. Then one day, she stopped replying. No messages. No calls. Nothing. At first, I thought she needed space. But days turned into a week. Then 2. Something felt wrong. So I went back to the train station. The same place where we first met. Same bench. Same noise. Same crowd. But she wasn't there. I asked around. No one knew anything. And just when I was about to leave, I saw something. Her crutches. Leaning against the corner of the bench. My heart started racing. Why would she leave them there? She didn't need them anymore. So why keep them here? I walked closer. And that's when I noticed a small folded note placed on the seat. My hands trembled as I picked it up. It said, "I came here today, to say goodbye to the version of me that was broken." I swallowed hard. Everything reminds me of that day. The pain. The loss. The guilt. My chest tightened as I kept reading. But then I remembered something. You. I froze. You didn't see me as broken. You didn't see what I lost, you saw what I still had. Tears blurred my vision. And for the first time, I believed it. I'm not running away. I'm finally moving forward. If I stayed, I might have depended on you forever. And I don't want to survive anymore. I want to live. There was a pause in the note. Like she had stopped writing, then continued. Thank you for saying yes that day. Because of you, I learned how to say yes to life again. No number. No address. Nothing. Just her name at the bottom. Aisha. I stood there for a long time. Holding that note. Trying to understand what I was feeling. It hurt. Of course it did. But at the same time, I was proud of her. Because she did something most people never do. She chose to let go of pain, instead of letting it define her. Months passed. Life slowly went back to normal. Or at least, something close to it. Until one day, I heard a familiar voice again. Can I sit with you? My heart stopped. I turned. And there she was. Standing taller than ever. Stronger. Happier. No crutches. No hesitation. Just confidence. You came back, I said, almost in disbelief. She smiled. I told you. I wasn't running away. Then why leave? I asked. She stepped closer. Because I needed to find myself, without leaning on anyone. I nodded slowly. Understanding. Then she sat down beside me again. Same bench. Same place. But everything felt different now. After a moment, she looked at me and said, "This time, I'm not the girl asking for a place to sit." I smiled. "Then who are you?" She looked straight into my eyes. "I'm the girl who's finally ready to stay." For a moment, neither of us said anything. The noise of the station faded again, just like the first day. Same place. Same bench. But this time, we weren't strangers. I looked at her and asked quietly, "Are you sure?" She smiled. Not the old smile that hid pain. Not the fragile one I first saw. This one was different. Strong. Certain. Real. I didn't come back because I needed you, she said. I came back because I chose you. Those words hit deeper than anything she had ever said before. We started meeting again. But this time, everything had changed. She didn't need help walking. Didn't need support to move forward. And yet, she still chose to walk beside me. One evening, we went back to that same bench again. It had somehow become our place. She sat down and looked at the sky. You know, she said softly, I used to hate this place. Why? I asked. Because it reminded me of everything I lost. She paused. Then smiled slightly. But now, it reminds me of everything I found. I didn't reply. Because I knew, she wasn't just talking about herself. After a moment, she reached into her bag and pulled something out. It was the note she had left me. You kept it? I asked. She nodded. I wrote it for you, but I think I needed it more. Then she looked at me, a little nervous. This time. Which was rare for her now. There's something I need to tell you, she said. I felt my heart beat faster. What is it? She took a deep breath. For a long time. I thought my story ended the day of the accident. Her voice softened. But you showed me, it was just a chapter. I stayed quiet. Listening. And now, she continued, I don't feel guilty for being happy anymore. She looked straight into my eyes. Because I finally understand something. What? I asked. She smiled. Surviving wasn't the reason I was saved. It was so I could live again. There was a pause. A deep, meaningful silence. And then she said the words I never expected. I think I'm ready to love again. My chest tightened. Not with fear. But with something warm, something real. I didn't rush. Didn't overreact. I just asked gently. Are you sure? She laughed softly. You already asked me that once. Yeah, I smiled, but this feels bigger. She nodded. It is. Then she did something simple. But unforgettable. She reached out her hand. Not because she needed help. Not because she was weak. But because she wanted to. And I took it. Months later. Life didn't turn into a fairy tale. There were still hard days. Moments when her past came back. Moments when silence said more than words. But the difference was, she didn't face them alone anymore. And neither did I. One day, as we walked past the station again, she suddenly stopped. Wait, she said. I turned to her. What happened? She smiled and pointed toward the bench. Look. A young girl stood there, holding crutches. Looking around nervously. Just like she once did. Before I could say anything, Aisha gently let go of my hand. And walked toward her. I watched in silence. The girl hesitated, then asked softly. Can I sit with you? Aisha smiled. The same way she once smiled at me. Of course, she said. And in that moment, I understood everything. Sometimes, life doesn't change in big, dramatic ways. Sometimes, it changes when someone feels seen. When someone is treated like they matter. And sometimes, all it takes is one simple word. Yes. So if life ever gives you a moment like that, don't look away. Don't hesitate. Because you never know. That small yes might not just change someone else's life. It might change yours too.